I want you to imagine this scenario with me. You have a loved one that has cancer, and the doctor told you that the only way they will get better is if they go through chemotherapy. The doctor explains to you that the side effects of chemotherapy can be very brutal and painful, and that your loved one will probably suffer for a long time before they get better. Now, you would probably choose, and your loved one would probably choose to go through chemotherapy, no matter the pain and suffering that they will go through, because in the end, they will be cancer-free. Well, this scenario is similar to an argument given by Garrett Hardin, which I will explain, followed by Michael Patton's critique. Hi, I'm Cindy Medeiros, and I will be explaining why Hardin and Patton believe we should not provide famine relief to third world countries. Hardin and Patton explained that there are multiple reasons why providing famine relief can lead to more disaster and death. Now I'll explain Hardin's lifeboat argument, the tragedy of the commons, and the ratchet effect. In Hardin's lifeboat argument, he sets a scenario. You are on a lifeboat and there are hundreds of people around you drowning. And now you have three options to help them. Option one, you let everyone onto the boat. You are over capacity and your boat will sink and everyone will drown. Now, if you think of that in terms of the US, if we help all the third world countries who are starving, then we will drown with them because we don't have enough money and resources to help them all, unfortunately. Now, option two is you let just enough people on to fill capacity. But the problem is, which people do you pick to go on your boat? And the problem with the US is, which countries do we help if they're all starving the same amount? Option number three is you let no one on the boat. Now, these people may still drown, but in this argument, the United States saves their money and their resources, but they do not choose to help other countries. Now, the problem with this is the population of poor countries grows at a rate 2 times higher than the US. Now, if the population of poor people keeps growing, then we cannot help them because we will run out of resources and money. Now, let me explain a possible outcome of providing continuous famine relief and how it negatively affects the rich countries. In Hardin's tragedy of the commons argument, there is also a scenario. So say that there is a common area for cows to graze. Now, for the farmers, the land is free of charge to use. So one would think they want to get more cows to maximize their profits, to sell their products, whatever. So there's going to be more and more cows on this land from different farmers. Now, over time, if we keep getting more cows on this land, then we will get land erosion. Now, if we get land erosion, then we can no longer be providing these cows a feeding space, a living space, and we will no longer make profit off of them. So, in terms of the US, if the competition between providing to the World Food Bank in the United States rises, and we continue to provide a greater number of resources to the increasing poverty population, then we will overcrowd and erode our land and lead ourselves into poverty. Now, let me explain to you how providing famine relief is a never-ending cycle. Before I explain the ratchet effect, I am going to give you 2 small scenarios. The first scenario. So, you are just living your normal life and you are offered free food, maybe for the rest of your life, maybe for a short period of time. Well, you would probably take that offer of the free food, right? Because why would you want to spend money on food when you don't have to? Okay, now the second scenario. You are a business owner of a restaurant or a grocery store, and people stop coming to your store because they are getting free food. Now, your only option probably is to close down because you aren't making enough money, because why would people come and eat at your restaurant or shop at your grocery store if they are getting free food? That's exactly what the ratchet effect explains. So if we keep providing resources to the World Food Bank and they keep providing these foods to third world countries for famine relief, then they will never be able to provide themselves food because the food bank is keeping them in constant supply of free food, and then their businesses will eventually close because they are not making enough money. Now, in Katrina Wahlberg's article, Food Aid for the Hungry, she states how food aid can lead to a threat in long-term food security, as I was just explaining, and which also can lead to more death and starvation in both parties, because if the U.S. keeps providing constant food and resources, then we will lose money and we will run out of resources because of the poverty population keeps growing. Now, in 2007, the CARE Foundation and the U.S. Government Accountability Office talk about famine relief that struck a part of Africa a couple years ago. And they talk about how the current food aid system does not work and it actually hurts the African farmers, just as I was explaining with the restaurants and the grocery store scenario. So back to what I was saying, if this constant cycle of supplying free food to these countries keeps occurring, then all the businesses will shut down. They will not be making any money because they are getting free food. This will eventually hurt them because if we stop giving them this free food, they have no businesses, they have no resources of their own. So with the ratchet effect, if we keep giving resources, we can't just suddenly take them away because they will all die. And if we keep supplying them with the resources, then they will never be able to open and grow their own businesses. Now, I want you to think back to my first scenario about your loved one getting cancer. Well, this is exactly how Michael Patton views famine relief and the third world countries in poverty. He believes that it is a cancer and cancer needs aggressive treatment. And he believes and critiques Singer and Hardin's arguments and solutions and thinks that they are not aggressive enough to ending famine relief and poverty. Therefore, he believes that the only way to end this is to let the people in poverty die or kill them off. Now, obviously, we cannot kill people. So, in conclusion, Hardin argues that if we keep supporting these third world countries with famine relief, that it will only lead to more disaster and deaths for all countries involved. He provides evidence of this with the lifeboat argument, the tragedy of the commons, and the ratchet effect, and how because of that, famine will never end. Now, we all know either option we choose to go about ending world hunger has both its pros and cons. Therefore, I am leaving it up to you to decide how you want to help solve world hunger. Thank you.